Hey guys, this is the gear for today. We've got a continuation here of the scents that aren't all that dominant because I can't smell right now because of COVID. So Cold River Soapworks Schapenmelk, if I'm coming close to the right pronunciation. And it's been graded by the previous owner and put into this, one of my favorite soap containers. So I like that. We're going to be using a brush that I haven't used in a long time, but that I got in the very beginning of my wet shaving journey, a Whip Dog Silvertip. Whether it's a 22 or a 24, you might have to look at the description to see, but it's the one that kind of started everything out. I did graduate from this handle. I'm a bowl latherer, and so this little kind of classic small handle shape without too much contour. It's a great cheap handle if you're looking for an inexpensive brush, but and if you're a face latherer, then it might be a really nice handle for you. The quality of it looks nice. It's got a nice gloss on it, that sort of thing. It's available in different colors, and I think it's just $10 or something from Whipped Dog. And then it does have their own Silvertip in there. The Gold Rocket, United Kingdom, a UK version of the Rocket razor. Matter of fact, I think maybe all rockets are from the UK, maybe. And this one's the Gold Rocket. And we're going to put in it the Astra. This is the older Astra. We've had some etched versions, some laser etched versions come out recently, last couple of years, and I've finally gotten using through some of my inventory and gotten to some of those, and it doesn't seem like it's quite the same blade, and I don't think I like it as much, but that hasn't yet been tested very much by me. And maybe now we can get into that a little bit. And so I marked this one with ink because this is one that has the ink printing instead of the laser etching. So it's one of the older ones. And so we'll see if this guy, we're gonna see a couple of things. This rocket has been with another blade, a Wismet stainless, a discontinued blade. I've been using it lately, and at first I thought it was a soap, but then it seemed like maybe it was leaning more towards the blade and razor combo, this rocket with that particular blade, just leaving me with kind of some broad irritation. And I'm wondering now if I switch to a blade. This Inked Astra is one of my great go-to blades. It's a nice middle-of-the-road blade for me. It works in many razors well. It is comfortable usually and cuts closely. At least that's how it works for me, and which is really cool because it's a very cheap blade. This will be the first use of it, and if it turns out that there is a difference between the inked ones and the etched ones, now I might have to look through my inventory and find all the inked ones, right, and just kind of set them aside and treat them a little more special. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. There's tons of good blades, right? Maybe I don't need to do that at all. All right. This has been used, the Schapenmelk, and it's got a nice base. Cold River has a nice soap base. Plus, this is one of their kind of. I think it was it a different base than their standard stuff? Was it like a harder soap? I don't think so, but that's in my brain. I wonder. I'll have to do some research. And I believe initially it came, and I remember being pretty excited about its release because I think it was kind of a hard soap, and it was really going after a good quality lather, and I liked that. But then you've also got Haslinger, which has a Schapenmelk. You've got Haslinger that has that. You've got Stirling that has a sheep tallow. You've got Mitchell's wool fat that I've been using recently here. That's a sheep lanolin, sheep tallow kind of formulation, and they all do kind of smell similar. And so what if we have all these great soaps, but they're all similar and all work really well? How do you choose? Well, you just have to figure it out for yourself. So today we're going to try the the Cold River Schapenmelk. Haslinger is the Schaffmilch. Cold River is the Schapenmelk. I'll try to keep that clear. And it hasn't been used in a while. Really quite hard. If I push down really hard, then it does move, you know, so it's not like triple milled or anything. I mean, like one of those harder triple milled soaps. It doesn't have to be hard to be triple milled, but just a lot of them are. Get my face wet. So I've been getting very comfortable shaves out of this razor with that other blade, and it's only until the end of the shave where I realize what's actually happening is a tiny bit of irritation has been growing, maybe starting at the second pass, because that first one is knocking down stubble, right? So there's probably not too much irritation being gathered up there. So maybe the second and the third pass is what I call it stealth irritation, because you don't experience it during the shave. You don't feel it really. And it's only at the end you realize, wait a minute, I'm kind of a little bit razor burned in a couple of spots or something like that. So that is why we are going to put this Astra in this razor to see. You put another blade in the razor and see if maybe we change that combo and then we get a different result. I also plan to put this Inked Astra blade in the carbon shaving titanium razor that I've used a few times ago, because since that Inked Astra, it generally has a good experience with me as a general purpose blade that's kind to my skin. It would be great to put it in that particular razor that's being a little bit harsh, at least in the first impressions that I'm getting. My face is wet. Brush has been soaked for a little while. Now, I believe that in my early days, I didn't know any better, and I did put some conditioner on this brush. And I've come to believe, based on some research by some other folks, as I shake most of the water out, that conditioner in an animal hair brush is not a good idea, because it blocks it puts silicone materials and stuff microscopically on the fibers, and it keeps them from absorbing water. And especially with a boar brush, it needs to absorb water well. And I think you can retard the breaking in of your boar brush if you use conditioner on it. It makes sense from one perspective to say, well, we put conditioner in to take care of our human hair, so let's take that good care of our brushes. Well, these aren't hairs in a way, they're tools. And if you're keeping the tool from doing its job if it can't absorb the water very well. So, all right. So we do not have too much standing water in there. I've shaken it all out, a lot of it out. And so let's just do a load here. It hasn't been used in a while. It's a pretty firm soap. 30 seconds might not be. Let's do 40 seconds. Okay. All right. So right at the turn of the next minute now. This is going to be a departure. There's a reason I'm using this brush too, because it is not a brush with a lot of backbone. It's a 3-band Silvertip that is plush and comfortable and soft, and I'm not going to be complaining about density with this brush. It's not super high density. This is just kind of standard density. I'm really glad that this brand of knot was recommended to me in the beginning of my journey, because it was a wonderful introduction, and it is kind of, if I had to choose, this is kind of the type of knot that I'd probably choose forever if I had to. I'm pretty sure. So as you can see, it looks like we've stirred up quite a bit of soap, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Let's take the side soap here and kind of see how it feels. I'll probably use Stirling Dunshire for my balm afterwards. I've been using that lately because it's very mild. It's almost unscented. It's an aquatic, inspired by Aqua di Gio, and they just didn't give very much strength in that particular mix. And now is a fine time to use that, since I can't smell. All right. Now, the people who don't like floppy brushes might be kind of unhappy with a brush like this, and that's normal. You want backbone, this is probably not the brush you want to use. Nice soft tips. I'll go ahead and add a little bit of water because it's feeling a little bit dry right away. So why not add some? And yeah, this little short handle, you can see I'm already starting to get white fingers. I was saying that the Schapenmelk here, I think initially didn't even come in a container. It was just a kind of a refill puck. So they're relying on you to put it in your own mug, or you can shred it and put it in any other container. Here's a little trivia bit. Do not melt. Do not microwave soaps that are tallow based. If it's a glycerin based soap, my understanding is that is safe to microwave, and then you can pour it into another container, and that does not hurt the soap, but the chemistry is it can be messed up if you were to heat up a tallow soap too much. What's much better to do is with many tallow soaps, you can just spoon them out. Especially if they're a crope, you don't need to do anything special. Just spoon them out and press them into something new. Or if they're hard, then you can shred them with a cheese grater and then press those gratings down. Some people like to add some water in there as they press the gratings down into the new container. I usually don't. But you press it down really good, and then you use it a few times, and then the water you use during that lather will just kind of cement everything together. And yeah, we've got a nice looking lather here. Big bloom on this brush because it's just got such an easy splay. We have added 18 milliliters so far. Let's put a bit more. If you like those high backbone knots, no problem. That's okay. You got to do you, right? But I recommend trying one of these, if you haven't ever, trying one of these soft 3-band knots. And the whip dog knot is a pretty inexpensive one to go with. Now, it has been several years since I got this knot. And so, I assume he's still getting his from the same supplier. That's a terrific looking lather. Creamy. Looks great. Let's feel of it while we're here. What kind of slickness do we feel? Contact slickness is pretty good. It is kind of wiping away a little bit, but it is leaving a film behind. Kind of a thin, fuzzy film. My hand right now is telling me that the Mitchell's wool fat might be a little nicer, a little bit more premium, a little bit more nourishing, a little bit more of a creamy type of slickness that feels a little bit more luxurious. But let's just see how he works in practice. It doesn't seem like I have overwatered it, so that's good. But maybe stopping right now might be a good idea. Got water on my face again. A day and a half of growth, so you know, kind of normal, kind of not. This combo should definitely just whiz right through that. Oh man, you can just feel it's light as a cloud compared to the Stirling Finest. Is a great little brush, but it is one for people who like backbone. Not tons of backbone, just, you know, higher than average backbone. But this guy right here, just light. Good flow through of the lather through the knot. Easy to clean because of that. And yeah, we've got some excess here that I'm pretty sure is just going to drop on my shirt if I don't put it back in the bowl. Now, the tips are staying at my face. It's not laying over, and I don't feel like I'm just kind of working on the side of the brush. And so that's good. I don't really like it when it's just in full splay all the time either. There is a little bit of that ropey feeling that I sometimes get with these softer brushes. It could be that some of the other, like maybe the Manchurians, a lot of the Manchurians might spoil me with the softness of the tips, but they usually don't quite have the nicer Manchurians that I've been enjoying. Who knows? I wonder if I might enjoy those a little bit more than this, you know, Silvertip. Now this lather is kind of looking a little pasty. Let's add a little bit of water. It could be that it did the little trick that some lathers do where it kind of acts thin, but you still actually need to keep adding a little bit of water to it because it kind of morphs once it has the right amount of water and becomes extra creamy, that kind of thing, you know? That really might be the case. And there are a few soaps that do that. I haven't really memorized the list. But it's it would be really too bad if somebody tried a soap like that and they didn't quite give it the water it needed because it felt like maybe it was too thin. But all they needed to do was a little bit more, and it would transform, you know, into the kind of enable or activate the creaminess, you know. And then they would never experience it because they just didn't know that some soaps behaved that way. All right, I want to get the lather off the handle there. And then let's add just a little bit more water to the brush. This time I add it to the side of the brush for fun. And so then I do a painting motion to try to capture that and get it mixed in with my face. Instead of in the middle of the knot. A lot of times that just causes it to kind of roll off, you know, but something different. All right. Gold Rocket, and we discussed about how One of the things that puts it in the Rocket family, because there's an Aristocrat Junior that looks almost exactly like this, but it has the flat base plate instead of the diamond bevel there. What makes it a Rocket is the fact that the knob here, it doesn't stay looking like this as you move the doors, as you open and close the doors. When the doors are fully open, this gap right here isn't there. This knob moves up, and this lip here touches this edge right up here. And that's why it's in the Rocket family. So let's see how this blade feels. Right away, it's doing well. It's going through the hair nicely. And of course, since this is the first use, it's also possible that an even better shave could wait for me around the corner with this blade. It doesn't seem to be cutting quite as smoothly as the one I've been using, the Pole Silver Stainless. But we'll just see how everything goes by the end. A little water on my face, and now I fill the brush up again. And I left some dripping water on there because I believe maybe the water in the bowl there, the lather in the bowl, needs a little bit more hydration. Yeah, those of you guys who need the scrub for whatever reason, this gives you a little bit, but not a whole lot. So funny, I remember this brush being softer. I wonder if my lathers have changed. So it's a change in perception. Maybe my preferences have changed. I've sampled more brushes since, I was using this kind. Who knows? I didn't have to do all that work there. All I needed to do, since I did all the scrubbing and work in the first pass, all I really need to do is just spread out a nice thin coat. But as is my custom, I just enjoy experiencing the brush on my face. Cross grain now. This lather is giving me a very slick surface here. Moving across, nice glide. Maintaining that light touch, especially knowing that this razor, depending on the blade, can sometimes give me a little bit of irritation. Let's get wet. Well, again, I feel like the second pass, if I was in a hurry, I could easily just walk away. Got a nice, close, clean cut. See, it's kind of translucent, right? Well, often that is what many lathers do when I have them hydrated to my level of preference. Yours may be different, that's okay. But often, but I'm just saying that just if it's translucent and not opaque, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong necessarily. You might just like your lathers wet like me. All right. Oh yeah, that's just terrific. Feels great. Silky feel here. Nice slickness. Nice performing soap here. Cross grain again on my cheeks. Let's come at this the opposite direction. And we'll see how's that residual slickness. Yeah, see, even after, you know, I started over here and I can feel a nice little, and it's not oily, it's not slow like an oil might be. It's kind of silky. It's a nice bit of skin slickness there, residual slickness many times, or secondary slickness is what some of us call it. So if I needed to go back and touch up certain areas, I feel like it wouldn't be, potentially not as risky unless you had a really aggressive razor, perhaps. But most of the razors I use, I probably wouldn't have an issue of touching up areas without having to re-lather. All right, let's get a good rinse. So here we are after the shave. Rinsed off, dried off. Skin feels nice, not quite as nourished, not quite as kind of soft feeling as when I use Mitchell's wool fat. And so I might say that the Mitchell's is a little bit better of a, at least in terms of the feel, the sensation. It feels like a more nourishing soap. But that's just first impression, right? Because I've just done one lather here. If I wanted it more creamy, then maybe I could push a little bit more water into it. I'm sorry, back the water off a little bit. But really, this is a nice performing lather here. And almost got it just right. I mean, just a little bit extra here. That really might be perfect. Let's see how it feels again now that we're kind of done with the shave. Yeah, that's just a very enjoyable little lather. Not quite as complex and luxurious as Mitchell's wool fat. So this one might be good because Mitchell's is my most recent use. I think Stirling mutton tallow is probably a little better than this one, but this is a fine soap. It really is a nice lather. It feels luxurious. It's just being edged out by some really good competition, at least according to my standards and my preferences. You know, this one might match exactly. You know what I tell you? This one was a little bit quicker clean off the face, and sometimes that happens with ones that aren't quite as kind of luxurious, the silkiness, that sort of thing. We ended up using, because I did add a little bit more water during, 25 milliliters total during the shave. Some of that was added after the first pass, and I had probably 2 passes left over, so 5 total passes of lather with 40 seconds of loading. Really a nice soap base, and that was good to have it in my own mind settled, because this is a soap that I kind of put on the back burner after I bought it used, and because the scent just wasn't. It's kind of, you know, that clean linen laundry, you know, kind of type soapy scent, similar to Mitchell's wool fat and all those others. I just usually pick more adventurous scents, right? It's just what I like. And now I don't think I'll feel as bad not using this one as much. I don't feel like I'm missing out on as much potential. I think the better ones currently might be the Stirling mutton tallow and the Mitchell's wool fat, at least right now. Very cool. This one was one of the next ones that was in the voting, so I wanted to use that one. I think it was a pretty good price, and it seems like it's going to be a nice long-lasting soap, and so you should get many uses out of it for your money, and I think it's a good buy. Very nice. You know what, this is just, it's reminding me of some recent 3-band brushes. The Volfix that I have, that's from the UK, where you can see that the tips have, they do have a touch of curl to them when it's dry, and so they're absorbing some water. It's very interesting, and I think maybe some of the Simpson brushes were doing that too, like the Super that I tried out. And so it was giving me pretty soft experience, but I wonder if something has happened to the tips over time, because I sure didn't notice this feeling a while back. This is I mean, it doesn't have a ton of uses. I don't mind having a bristle come loose. So this is very interesting. The tips have kind of thickened up a little bit. They don't really come to that a really sharp point, and I think that's why sharp meaning a sharp looking point, not a sharp or hard feeling point. But I think when you if you can keep that point on there, then you do feel that lightness. You know, that's why those synthetic brushes feel so soft, is because they have that tapered point has just been created artificially, and it's not going to absorb water and change or anything like that. And it's just always going to be that soft, you know. And so I'm gonna have to revisit a lot of my 3 bands and see if they're just kind of turning that way. That's very curious, because I don't remember that being that way before. Anyway, but as you can see, it's not a big knot. It's not a 26. It's either a 24 or a 22, and plenty of knot, plenty of badger here for your face. You don't have to have a big knot. Easy to clean, nice and soft. So the Whip Dog Silvertip in the Whip Dog handle. I tell you, once the shave was going, I didn't have any problem with the handle at all. Just, you know, a little extra wetness and mess on the fingertips when working in the bowl because of the length of the handle being quite short. So now comes the Stirling Dunshire Balm. And yeah, I think I'm still liking my idea that I've been mentioning to you guys for a while now of going with kind of some neutral balms, if you will, some balms that kind of work with everything, instead of like always having if you like a certain scent, always having a balm for it, you know. If I like the scent of something and I want it more, why don't I get the EDT? Because then it's going to last a lot longer than a balm or a splash, and it's also something you can apply in the middle of the day, because you're not trying to condition your face, but you do want the scent, right? So I think maybe just some base balms, and this might be a good one. Once I use up my balms, this you know, it's a very enjoyable fragrance. It's not heavy. It's not going to interfere with anything that comes after it. You know, that sort of thing. That Acqua di Gio kind of light, fresh, aquatic. So I do think this razor is a deceptively good cutter. He's kind of sneaky. This razor blade that we used today was a little kinder to me, but I could still feel that remnant of the feeling like, yeah, man, you kind of worked your skin over just a little bit. And in a way that's good, because those of you who want maybe a little bit more exposure than I might, then this guy might be just exactly perfectly what you need. And then you can vary it a little bit by your blade choice, that sort of thing. But it's a beautiful piece. I like his weight. I like his movement, the manipulation, the dexterity, the heft of it. I'm a big fan. So he might shave a little bit more aggressively than I might like, but he shaves aggressively pretty smoothly, and maybe that's why it's so stealthy. Shaving aggressively meaning not super, but maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. All right, well, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and that was a good one. Thank you for joining me. Take care now.